Hey there, focused learners, and welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are taking a fascinating journey straight into the hidden layers of a deeply ancient family drama. We're talking about a story packed with sibling rivalry, deception, exile, and ultimately, redemption. It's one of those classic tales that has shaped cultural and historical narratives for literally millennia. But as we're going to see today, the standard English versions of this story, they barely scratch the surface of what's actually going on.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Have you ever wondered how simple translation ambiguities can completely change our understanding of major historical figures? Well, when we read ancient texts that had been translated into English, we honestly miss out on so much. We miss the incredible wordplay, the subtle puns, and all those hidden cultural contexts that the original ancient audiences would have instantly picked up on. Today, we're unpacking the famous story of Jacob and Esau. And I've got to tell you, reading this through its original linguistic lens completely flips the script on who these brothers truly were. Understanding this is absolutely crucial, because it shows us just how easily a tiny mistranslation can alter our entire perception of history.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The struggle begins. 2. The stolen blessing. 3. The real promise. 4. The trickster tricked. 5. The rivalry of wives. And finally 6. The great reconciliation. Let's get right to it.
Our explainer today draws heavily on some truly incredible linguistic deep dives into the original Hebrew texts. Specifically, we're looking at Dr. Eli Lazorkin Eisenberg's brilliant analysis in The Hidden Story of Jacob, right alongside some really fascinating insights from Vietnamese biblical commentaries. By exploring the raw, original Hebrew text, we can uncover astonishing details, hidden motivations, and character traits that are almost entirely invisible when you just read the standard English translations.
Part 1. The struggle begins.
Our story actually kicks off before the brothers are even born, taking us right into the womb of their mother, Rebecca. And there is this intense, crushing battle happening between these twin brothers. When Rebecca feels the babies violently struggling, she actually asks God what in the world is happening. Now, standard English translations typically render the divine answer she gets as, "the older shall serve the younger." But, and this is a huge but, in the original Hebrew, the phrase is "Varav ya'avod sayer," which literally just translates to "great serves young." Notice what's missing there? It completely lacks the definite Hebrew marker et, which is what usually indicates the direct object. Without that tiny little marker, the Hebrew phrase has this built-in ambiguity. It's actually completely unclear who is supposed to serve whom. This grammatical mystery completely subverts all of our expectations right from the jump.
And then the twins are born. The first one emerges and it's named Esau. Traditionally, because he was born covered in red hair, we've come to associate his name with being red or hairy, basically painting him as this rough, negative brute of a character. But if we dig linguistically, Esau may actually be rooted in the ancient Hebrew word asa, which means fully made or to make. This reframes Esau entirely. Rather than just being some hairy brute, the text is heavily hinting at someone who is complete, someone possessing a really strong, resilient, and as we're going to see later on, deeply forgiving character.
Right after him, his twin emerges, and he is quite literally holding on to his brother's heel. Because the ancient Hebrew word for heel is akev, they name him Yaakov, or Jacob, meaning the heel grabber. In an ancient idiom, grabbing the heel implies following closely, sure, but it also means tripping someone up or supplanting them. This sets up Jacob's initial character arc as a deeply flawed manipulator. He's someone who is always trying to grab what belongs to the person ahead of him.
Part 2. The stolen blessing.
This brings us to a massively pivotal moment in the story where coveting a brother's status leads to the ultimate family betrayal. It all starts with a bowl of soup. Esau comes in completely exhausted from hunting, and Jacob flat out demands his birthright in exchange for some food. English translations usually just call it red stew, but the Hebrew text uses the word nazid. This means a boiled thing, yes, but it also shares a root word with acting proudly or with arrogance. On top of that, Esau is so completely wiped out that he basically just points and grunts for ha'adom, literally the red thing. This whole transaction perfectly highlights Esau carelessly despising his spiritual birthright just for some quick sustenance, while simultaneously exposing Jacob's calculated arrogance in exploiting his own brother's weakness.
Later on, their mother Rebecca plots to have Jacob steal their blind father's final blessing. Now, Jacob is absolutely terrified of this plan. He's terrified his father will reach out, touch him, realize he's an imposter, and bring a kalala upon him, a curse. In Hebrew, this word is the exact opposite of kavod, which means honor or heaviness. A kalala literally means being made light of, being blown away, or losing all of your life stability. It's a terrifying concept. But Rebekah is so determined that she willingly takes this incredibly heavy curse of instability entirely upon herself just to ensure Jacob gets that blessing.
Disguised in animal skins, Jacob actually pulls it off. He successfully deceives his father. Isaac blesses him with the dew of heaven, the fat of the earth, an abundance of new grain and wine, and immense political power, even declaring that peoples, nations, and his own brothers will bow down to him. It's a massive, sweeping blessing. But you know what's truly fascinating about this? This stolen blessing of easy wealth and domineering power never actually came true during Jacob's lifetime. No way. His life became one of hardship, of servitude, and of constant fear. He certainly never ruled over Esau.
Part 3. The Real Promise.
So, now Jacob is fleeing for his life from a murderous Esau. He's terrified, he's alone, and he falls asleep on a rock at a place called Bethel. But before he fled, his father Isaac actually gave him a second blessing, willingly this time, and in it he invokes the name El Shaddai. Now, this is often translated simply as God Almighty, but linguistic roots suggest it actually means God the Provider, or the Sufficient One. It connects to the Hebrew word for breast, signifying deep nourishment and life. This was a blessing of sustenance, not of military domination.
And it's here, sleeping on that rock, that Jacob receives the actual promise meant for him. He dreams of a stairway to heaven, and God speaks to him, offering 3 profound guarantees. First, his constant presence. I am with you. Second, his ultimate protection, meaning he'll be guarded wherever he wanders. And third, a promise to safely return him to the promised land. Now notice what's totally missing from this list. There is absolutely no promise that his brother will bow to him. According to the text, true blessing meant the promise of land, offspring, and divine presence. It wasn't about the ruthless domination he tried to steal.
Part 4. The Trickster Tricked.
Jacob arrives in exile in Padan Aram, and man, the great deceiver, is about to face a very harsh dose of karmic justice. Jacob falls deeply in love with his uncle Laban's younger daughter Rachel, and he actually works 7 long years to marry her. But on the wedding night, in the pitch dark of the tent, Laban secretly substitutes his older daughter Leah instead of Rachel. The dramatic irony here is just absolutely staggering. Think about it. Jacob, the guy who tricked his own father by exploiting the blindness of old age, is now perfectly tricked by his uncle who exploits the blindness of the night. The heel grabber has finally been grabbed.
Part 5. The Rivalry of Wives.
Jacob eventually works for Rachel as well, but this massive deception and this very unequal love plunges his household into a chaotic, deeply painful dynamic that will literally shape the future of a nation. The text tells us Leah was unloved, so she desperately named her sons as literal pleas for Jacob's affection. Look at these names. Reuben literally means the Lord saw my poverty. Judah means this time I will praise. Meanwhile, Rachel, who was barren for years, fought back through surrogate sons, naming one Dan, meaning God vindicated me, and Joseph, meaning God will add me another son. These wives were in this desperate, agonizing competition for Jacob's love, and that raw emotion was permanently recorded in the very names of their children, who would go on to become the future tribes of Israel.
Part 6. The Great Reconciliation. Decades pass. Jacob grows incredibly wealthy, but he remains a fearful exile. Finally, he is commanded to return home. And that means he has to face Esau, the brother he wronged so deeply 20 years ago. Jacob is terrified. He's literally expecting an army to slaughter him. Remember that stolen blessing, the one that said, "Let your mother's sons bow to you"? Well, look at the historical reality of their meeting. As Jacob approaches Esau, he doesn't stand tall as some great master. Instead, Jacob bows low to the ground 7 consecutive times. In the ancient Near East, bowing 7 times was the traditional, expected protocol for greeting a sovereign king. In that one moment, the illusion of the stolen blessing is entirely shattered. Jacob offers Esau these massive herds of livestock, and as beautifully captured in translated commentaries, we see a humbled, completely transformed Jacob begging his brother. He says, "Please accept the gift I've brought you, for God has shown me abundant grace, and I have enough." Notice that exact phrase, "I have enough." This is huge. The man who spent his entire life grabbing for more, manipulating for more, finally recognizes that he has enough. It's this incredibly powerful shift in perspective, and he offers these gifts not as a bribe, but as a genuine plea for true forgiveness. And how does the so-called rough, hairy Esau respond to all this? He doesn't draw a sword, not at all. Esau runs to meet Jacob. He embraces him, throws his arms around his neck, and kisses him. Both grown men just weep. It is a completely stunning display of divine action and grace. The narrative neutrally and beautifully shows us that God changed both Jacob's manipulative, grasping heart and Esau's 20-year festering hatred. He transformed them both into this incredible moment of instant, loving forgiveness.
We've seen the linguistic layers peel back today to reveal a story that isn't just about simple heroes and villains, but about complex, heavily flawed humans who are ultimately shaped by grace. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder. Did Jacob secure his true legacy by grabbing his brother's heel in the dark, or by finally humbly bowing at his feet in the light? It really shows us that how we read history fundamentally changes what we learn from it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning what lies beneath the surface.